Hello and welcome to this YourPMO video. This is session 7 of the training program and we're going to be looking at admin in this session. So let's start by administrating our portfolios. What we're going to do is come up to the menu and pick Manage Portfolios. And here we can set up the portfolios. These are how we're going to group and collect our projects together. So currently I've got a portfolio called Testing. And that's the one that's selected when I come in, and I can see it's got these 2 projects in out of my 3 available projects. Now if I want to create a new one, I just give it a name. So I'm going to go new, create new like that. So that portfolio now exists, and now I can put a project into it. So I'm going to put a different combination of projects into it this time. I'm just going to grab these 2. I can use Shift and Control to click multiple items from the list like that. So that's now set up. When we come back to select project, we'll see I've got a new portfolio which has got a different collection of projects in it. Pretty straightforward. Now we're going to look at adding a new project to the system. So we come to menu and create project, and here I give my project a name. It must be unique within my projects, so I'm going to call this another one, and I choose the type of project I want from the available method templates. These are the pre-configured types of project report that we can use. So we're going to go for something we've not looked at before, which is a praxis type project. You'll see I can also choose to add it to one of my portfolios if I want to. So I'm going to do that again here. I'm going to add it to that new portfolio that we just saw earlier. And press create project. And that's done. So when I now come back and look in my project list, I've got those 3 projects available, and this one is using the Praxis framework, so we've got that laid out for us here. So that's pretty straightforward to do, and those are, there aren't really that many admin things you need to do as a single user in the system. Those are 2 of the key ones: grouping your projects together, creating projects. The next one we're going to look at is within our project, fiddling around with recycling files and creating stages if we've got a project that uses stages. So let's come back to our example project here, because it's quite a good one actually, in that you can see it's a model that uses multiple delivery stages. So let's just explore that a little bit. If we come into the Explorer, we'll see that we've got 3 nodes here in the tree. The first node are project level documents, things that happen once only in the project. They might come and go at different points in the process, but they only occur once. Then we have stages, and stages are repeatable blocks of activity that might happen through the project. So if we're building a building, the first stage might be to buy the land, the second stage might be to get planning permission, the third stage might be to dig some footings, and the 4th stage to erect some steel work, for example. So they're blocks of activity, and you might have a plan for each of those and some specification documents for each of those, and correspondence for each of those. So you might group together those activities into a block, and that's what happens in this second tier here, the stages. And we can see the documentation. Now again, it's process sensitive, so you won't necessarily see documentation for a process unless it's relevant, for a stage and process combination, unless it's relevant. So we've currently got 1 stage for this particular project. So let's go and add another one. We come to menu. As part of the projects menu, you can obviously only do it when you've got a project selected, and manage stages. And here I can choose, I can delete the stage I've currently got if I want to, rename it, and I can choose to add a new stage. And sometimes we have multiple different types of stages. So perhaps we're going to do a purchase activity on this project. So I'm going to add a new stage like that. And then I'm going to also do a prototype, so an agile type activity. So I'm going to add one like that as well. You see I can order these, so I'll order them into the order that I want, and then when I come back and look at my process again, you see now I've got 3 stages showing here, and I'll see the documentation that's appropriate for each of those activities within its area. So sometimes they'll be loaded in with templates again, sometimes they'll have blank placeholders for things that you want to collect, but it gives you the material that's appropriate for a stage of that type. You can of course add repeated stages of the same type if you want to. They're all 3 are different here, but you could have 6 different purchase activities going on within a project. So you get the documentation for those. So that's a really important part of multi-stage projects, injecting the new stages. The next thing we're going to have a look at is working on the on recycling content. So it happens sometimes you end up with things in the wrong place, things in the wrong place. You can move them. So often these things are on the advanced menu here. So when I come and put my file and I've got advanced, I'd put that correspondence in the wrong place, and it should have been in the PID document instead. So I select that, I go advanced, I do move, and I can choose to now put it in any other document in my project. You'll see there's quite a few documents in my project, but I'm going to put it in the PID instead. And now that file has gone out of there and gone into there. And if that file had been versioned, it would have taken all its version history with it. So it moves its location within the system and all the information pertaining to it as well. So that's a really useful thing to be able to do. Sometimes you just want to get rid of things, so I can delete them. You can't delete or recycle something when it's currently checked out, or a document when that's got content which is checked out. So checking out things or things going through approvals will prevent recycle. So what happens is we first recycle something like this, again from the advanced side, and you'll see that that disappears from the location and goes and appears in my recycle bin, which is all the way down the bottom here in Specialist. Once files are in recycle, I could either hard delete it, or I could move it to move it out and back into the project again. Really, once it's in recycle bin, you don't need to worry about it anymore. I mean, if you do then hard delete it and realize you've made a mistake, contact us. We can get the file back for you, as long as you can tell us some details about which project it was from or what it might have been called, for example. So that's working through some basics of moving things, recycling things, and really, in terms of the admin you need to do on your project, that's about it. There isn't very much. As a single user, we don't need to worry about permissions, etc. We've automatically got access to all the content, and we can just see that and work on it. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. If you've got any further questions, do ask.